Hello, and welcome to Because You Matter. My name is Ashley Stewart, and I will be presenting to you on loneliness, relationships, and self-care during the current pandemic. Humans by nature are social creatures. We want to interact with other people, and we want those interactions to be meaningful. So loneliness is a state of distress or discomfort when we perceive that those interactions are lacking, are not what we were expecting. So for one person, the interaction can be very positive, it's exactly what they need. For another person, those interactions aren't as meaningful, and it's all that person's perception and what they're hoping to get out of those interactions. So a lot of times people think that loneliness occurs due to lack of social interaction. And this can be the case, but it's not always the situation. So loneliness can occur when people feel like those interactions that they are having don't have any meaning or substance for them. There are several different types of loneliness. When people think of loneliness, they think of no significant relationships. And sometimes that is the case. Oftentimes, though, people can feel lonely for different reasons. Maybe they're new to a place, they feel like they're just a little bit different and can't connect with other people. They don't have any time for themselves. Or they feel like maybe they're surrounded by a lot of people, but none of those people they feel like they can really trust or depend on. So loneliness isn't just one-faceted. There's multiple facets to it. And it's figuring out, for you, what is making you feel lonely and coming up with ways to address it. So loneliness doesn't have to be a constant or permanent state. There are things that you can do to address that loneliness and make you feel more connected to other people or those things that are going on around you. So there's a lot of health risks associated with loneliness and social isolation. One of those health risks is decreased physical activity. If people aren't interacting with people, they're less likely to get out of the house, to be moving, and doing things that are good for them physically. Lack of social interaction can make people feel sad, down, unhappy, which increases symptoms of stress, depression, and anxiety. It can have a big effect on people's sleep. People are sleeping too little, too much. Their sleep pattern could be off different times of days. It has effects on your cognitive ability, your cardiovascular health. It can cause decreased immunity. And right now, with everything going on, people want to have a strong immune system to try and stay healthy. So, like anything, when people aren't feeling happy or there's discomfort, they kind of come up with ways to decrease those feelings. And a lot of times that results in unhealthy coping skills. So that can be overeating, not exercising, sleeping too much, or substance use. It's anything to kind of temporarily numb or dull those pains that they're feeling. And a lot of times these habits continue. And unhealthy habits, as many of us know, can have adverse health effects. So then the system or the pattern just continues. So if any of us have looked at the news, turned on social media, anything like that, we've all heard of social distancing. And there's a lot of talk about social distancing and staying away from people. But I think it's important to note that social distancing doesn't mean social isolation. So because words are important and they provide meaning to things, another way to look at social distancing is actually physical distancing. So it's just keeping 6 feet of space between yourself and individuals that don't live in your household. So social distancing means you can still have social interactions with people, you can still interact, but keeping it at a safe distance. So social isolation, on the other hand, is a lack of social interaction, lack of relationships and connection between an individual and society. And those feelings of social isolation can lead to loneliness. And as we discussed previously, that has a lot of health risks. So here are a few examples of physical distancing activities. So it's basically any activity that allows there to be at least 6 feet of space between yourself and another individual. So that can be solo activities like reading a book, gardening. You can have somebody garden with you. They can be on one side of the garden, you can be on the other. If you are a person that wants to interact with people, maybe hiking, going for a walk, as long as you're keeping some space or wearing a mask. Okay, so let's say you still want to stay connected, but you're not too keen on the idea of face-to-face interactions with people right now. So here are some other options for things you can do. Call somebody up, talk on the phone, write somebody a letter, even if it's just a little note that says, hey, thinking of you. It will really brighten people's day, and people love getting letters in the mail. Video chats, online workout classes, movie nights, that sort of thing, as long as you're keeping distance from people. And it's a great way to stay connected. Let's say you watch a movie and your friend's watching a movie at their house and you guys are texting each other about it. You can still have an interaction and keep those relationships going. So, acts of kindness. One of the quickest and easiest ways to feel connected and that you are interacting with people or things is by doing an act of kindness. So that can be something nice for a person, the environment, anything. It can be letting somebody in traffic, holding the door, picking up trash, planting a garden. It will help you feel better and brighten your day, and those people that you're doing something nice for, it makes a huge impact on their day. Maybe they've been feeling sort of lonely too, and this will let them know that there are people out there that are thinking about them. So we've done a lot of talk on relationships staying connected. So what are some of the benefits of having strong relationships? It's people to help you reach your goals, provides meaning to your life. If you're going through a tough time, those people are there to help and support you. It increases your sense of self-worth and purpose. People like to feel needed and that they're wanted. And when people like you, it's a real self-confidence booster. People like to be liked. So relationships take work. Whether during a pandemic or not, you need to work on your relationships. So these are some tips on things that you can do to help maintain strong, healthy relationships. Expressing your wants and needs, letting the other person know, what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and allowing that other person to do the same for you. Acknowledging that maybe they're having a bad day and, the reason that they snapped at you wasn't something personal. Listening to them. People like to feel listened to and that somebody is paying attention to them and cares. Being empathetic, trying to understand how the other person's feeling. Setting boundaries. This is beneficial for you and the other person. If people know what your boundaries are, then they won't overstep them. And if they're not overstepping your boundaries, it makes both of you happy. If somebody is doing something that makes you uncomfortable, but you haven't told them about it, they're going to keep doing that until you let them know. Negotiate. Relationships are about give and take. So coming up with compromises for different situations. So there are healthy and there are unhealthy relationships. So people shouldn't settle for any relationship just because it's a relationship. You want your relationship to make you feel good about you and also the other person. So healthy relationships are based on equality, honesty, respect, independence, and humor. So it's somebody that you can have a good time with. If it's somebody that maybe you're uncomfortable around, not sure how that they're going to react, makes you feel bad about yourself, that's not a good relationship, and that's not a relationship you want to continue. Unhealthy relationships can make people feel just as lonely as having no relationships. So don't settle for any relationship. You want your relationships to be healthy and meaningful. If you do feel like you're in an unhealthy relationship, reach out to somebody. There are people that can help you get out of these situations. So we've been talking a lot about relationships, and it's important to note that there are health benefits to relationships, and a lot of these health benefits listed here are the opposite of the health risks to social isolation. So it actually reduces your risk of stress, depression, anxiety, increases your immunity, and helps you have healthier behaviors, which will overall improve your health. Self-care is an activity that one intentionally does in order to care for their own mental, emotional, and physical health. So you're probably thinking, how does this relate to everything we've talked about? Well, practicing self-care is a really good way to focus on your needs in order to help those around you. A lot of times people think that if they're practicing self-care, they're being selfish, or they feel guilty about it because they could be doing other things or should be doing other things. You should not feel guilty about practicing self-care, nor are you being selfish. Another way to think about self-care in a more positive light is if your cup isn't full, how are you going to give to other people? So self-care allows you to take care of your own needs in order to continue caring for and interacting with those around you. So caring for your well-being. So these are some quick, easy self-care activities. They're kind of the foundation of self-care, which is making sure you're taking care of you. So eating healthy, nutritious meals. You want to make sure you have enough energy and nutrients to get the things done during the day that you want to do. Being physically active, getting out and moving. Being active has a lot of health benefits. Getting enough sleep. So it varies for everyone, but it's recommended that people get 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. So let's say you feel like you're getting the quantity of sleep you need, but during the morning you're still feeling sluggish or, taking a long time to wake up and just, feel like you haven't slept. Talk to your healthcare provider. Maybe there's something going on that's impacting your ability to have quality sleep. So letting people know that that's something that's going on with you and addressing your sleep needs. Following up on your medical care. If you're not caring for your physical health, it's hard to care for everything else. So if you're physically ill and you're not able to get out and interact with people, that can lead to the feelings of loneliness that we were talking about earlier that do have health effects. So making sure you're staying on top of your physical health and following up with medical care is a really good way to keep those social activities that you enjoy doing going and to care for your well-being. Staying connected, reaching out to people, and keeping relationships going, and making time to laugh. Laughing is a really positive thing and has a lot of health benefits. So it could be telling jokes with a friend, reading something that makes you laugh, just taking time to laugh and enjoy what's going on around you. So self-care has some health benefits. It reduces stress, it increases positive thinking, it improves relationships. When you're feeling happy, healthy, and well, your interactions with other people tend to be more positive, and they can pick up on those feelings, and that improves their mood and their interactions with you. People that practice self-care are usually more resilient. They're able to handle stressful situations and tough times because they know what they need to do to care for themselves and focusing on their own needs. There's different types of self-care. When people think of self-care, they oftentimes think of the stereotypical going to the spa, taking a bubble bath, and that is self-care for your physical health. But there's also other facets of yourself. People aren't one-dimensional, and neither should self-care be. Focusing on your emotional health. What do you need? What are you missing? Are you missing those social interactions? Are you feeling lonely? What are some things that you can do to promote those things or change those things? Social self-care. For introverted people that need some time away from people to recharge, that might mean at the end of the day taking some time to sit by themselves, relax, unwind from the day, recharge. For more extroverted people, that could mean maybe they feel like they're not getting enough social interaction, so making a point to reach out to people, to set up times to get together, to talk on the phone. Practical self-care. How's your environment? Your environment plays a huge impact on how you're feeling. So if you feel like your environment is cluttered or making you stressed, taking time to organize it, rearrange it so that it works best for you and that you feel most comfortable in your space. So people are very busy and sometimes feeling stressed and overwhelmed either now or other times during their life. So the practice of mindfulness is intentionally focusing one's attention on the present and acknowledging maybe thoughts, feelings, sensations that they're having without interpretation or judgment. A lot of times people place judgment on things. They need to feel a certain way. They should feel a certain way given different situations. And it's okay if you don't feel that way that you think that you should, but it's taking these moments to recognize your feelings and being able to address them. And this can be very uncomfortable for some people, but the more you do it, the easier it'll become. And this is another self-care practice. The more in tune you are with yourself, the easier it will be to address your different self-care needs. So here are a few mindfulness activities. The name game. A lot of times people take their senses for granted. You know, we're inundated with stuff all the time and we don't always focus on it. So taking a time to listen to your senses. What are you seeing? What are you feeling? What are you smelling? And intentionally naming them. Deep breathing. So a lot of people think, well, I breathe every day on a daily basis. Like, I know how to do that. But deep breathing is being intentional about your breathing. It's inhaling slowly, holding your breath for a couple seconds, and then exhaling slowly. And you can do this multiple times throughout the day. It's a good way to just kind of slow your mind down and focus on something else. Positive body scanning and progressive muscle relaxation are both very helpful techniques for if you're having trouble sleeping or feeling stressed during the day. A lot of times people hold their tension in their muscles, and this just kind of gives you a way to focus your attention on those muscles to help them relax. I'll have more information about this in a couple slides with additional resources. Making a gratitude list. What makes you feel happy, and what are you thankful for in your life? A lot of times when people are feeling overwhelmed, it's hard to take that time to sit down and think about those things that we're grateful for. So making a list, you can jot it down on a piece of paper in the morning before you go to bed, at night, just taking those couple minutes to think about what you're grateful for. The mindfulness meal. So a lot of times people just eat. We know it's something that we need to do. We have a million things going on. So we just try and do it as quickly as we can, and we're not always paying attention to what we're eating. So mindfulness meal is taking the time while you're eating that meal to really think about it and focus on it. What does it taste like? What are the different seasonings in it? What's the texture of it? Does it have a smell? And allowing yourself those 10-20 minutes to just be in the moment. Don't go it alone. Like I said earlier, humans are social creatures. We want to interact with people. So knowing that you're not alone and you don't have to go through difficult times alone. Reach out to somebody. It could be a friend, it could be a healthcare provider. Here at NHC, we offer counseling at all 4 of our locations. So if you're feeling stressed, down, alone, maybe going through a difficult situation, don't be afraid to ask. There is help available. If you're in a crisis situation or are in need of immediate help, the numbers listed here are 24 hours a day, and there will always be somebody there to reach out to talk to. I hope you enjoyed this presentation and have a great rest of your day.